What's good, Red Pill guys? Jay Lee here, Northwest Podcast. Today I've got an interesting concept that I want to talk about, which is basically that women are no longer loyal to men. And I talk about this a million times, and I'll continue to talk about it. Most of the way women behave today is because of feminism. It's because of the evils of feminism, the propaganda, the insidious concepts that it puts in their brain that seem good when you hear them. It's like, oh, do for you, girl. We don't need men anymore. We're empowered, all this crap. It's based on a lie, right? The lie is that men are out to get women, that men are oppressing women and all this crap. And the reality is that women are susceptible to being fooled. They're susceptible to being duped. If you're told that you can go sleep around and that men don't matter, right? What do you think is going to be the result of that? The result of that is you're going to rack up a high body count. You're probably going to have abortions. You're probably going to get an STD. You're going to get your heart broken, okay? Because when people sleep around, the way our brain works is we're supposed to be attached to somebody, the person that we sleep with. Certain chemicals are released. And I think this is men and women, but I think it's more so women than men because women are more emotionally attached to intimacy. Okay, this is why women need a lot more connection. This is why you'll hear women say, I need a connection before I jump into bed with a guy. This is why women need to be wined and dined and romanced, and because they need that connection. They need to be wooed. They need to be, it's how it goes. It's why guys have to learn game. It's why guys have to, learn how to seduce women or, make women like them, right? With things that they say and game and all that, right? Women are different than men when it comes to sex. A guy can just get a boner from looking at a hot woman and sleep with her, right? With women, it's a bit different. So the whole thing is based on a lie, right? Oh, you can do, it's your body, your choice, do whatever you want. Don't let some man control you. If you want to go have sex, go have sex. And don't get me wrong, women like sex too. It's just different. It's different. And that's how our biology or God or whatever created us. But here's the problem. The problem is that there's this feminist propaganda. There's this feminist lies, right? So what it actually does fundamentally is it tells women that they're no longer, they don't need a man anymore, right? And when you think about it, you're like, well, what do you mean need a man? It's not about needing a man. It's about love. It's about having a relationship. It's about loyalty, right? But this type of propaganda is a lie in its foundation. It's because it's not that women need men. Well, we could put it this way. Women need men and men need women. We need each other. Define need, right? I've had this argument with people before when, Christians particularly, when you say, oh, is sex a need? Do people need sex? Not strictly to survive. No, like we need food and water. No, but it's a soul need, okay? It's a something for your heart and your soul, right? We're lonely. So we're more than just the animals, right? This is how you know we're more than just animalistic. And people are living animalistic lives. People are just procreating and, to survive. It's survival mode. When you choose a guy based on his money and income, right? That's just animalistic, right? It's like animals that, this guy's got the best nest. And I get it. It's part of biology to whatever degree. But also you got to remember that we're fallen. We're fallen. The world is fallen. The world is corruption or the world is corrupted, right? Satan has corrupted the world. You can believe that or not, but there's sin. Why do the animals kill each other? That's not cool. Why do humans kill each other? That's not cool. Because there's sin, right? And you could just shuck it off and be like, oh, none of that matters. And who cares? We're just here to procreate and die. And you could live your life like that. That's fine. But my point is that we have something higher. We have a relationship need. We don't want to be alone, because being lonely is not good. It's not good. It's what God said in Genesis. He said it's not good for man to be alone. So he created Eve as his helper, but it's also as his lover, right? As his soulmate. Okay? Adam said, this is flesh of my flesh, bone of my bone, meaning this is my soulmate, right? This is the person that I'm supposed to be with, okay? So when you reduce relationships down to how much money does he make, what kind of lifestyle are we going to live, you are tearing up that concept of love, of loyalty, of a relationship, and you're boiling it down to, an exchange of intimacy for resources, okay? An exchange of, you give her the lifestyle that she wants, and then she'll sleep with you for long term, or she'll have a relationship, she'll commit to you as long as you give her what she wants, and as far as a lifestyle is concerned. What is that? That's not really what I call love. That's not what I call finding your soulmate, okay? But this is what we see in society today. We're seeing this, this type of prostitution, really. And it's not even, it's like everybody loses, It's not even like the women are like happy in those situations. Let's say you get what you want. Let's say you find the guy who's got the amount of money that you want. He's going to provide you the lifestyle that you want. You're winning, supposedly. I don't see that these people are happy. You see it, you see it on social media, these women who are like flying around and they got all the nice designer stuff, and they think they're happy. They look like they're happy. Or I should say they give the appearance that they're happy. But I don't think they're really happy. I don't think they're really fulfilled, because I don't think that that's what our nature really gets fulfilled with. I've had materialism. Many people have shared that materialism, many rich and famous people have shared that materialism doesn't satisfy. There's many marriages that break up. 50% of marriages aren't working, and I would say a larger number are unhappy in their marriages. And it's tough, because this is also part of female nature, I believe, or I should say fallen female nature, right? To seek out, hypergamy, the highest value man. It's tough because you want a guy who's going to protect and provide for you. I get it. I understand that's part of your nature, and you can fulfill that. But again, it's like a lot of these relationships don't have the passion, they don't have the love, they don't have the loyalty. Because how are you claiming to be loyal to somebody when fundamentally you're with them because of their money? That doesn't really make a lot of sense, right? You're not really loyal to them. You're loyal to the fact that they're able to provide you with what you want. That's what you're loyal to. You're loyal to, as long as this train keeps running, I'm on board, right? But a lot of times women will jump ship. They'll jump off board when the guy loses his resources, when he loses his money, or when he loses his job. It's just a fact. It's really sad, and it's the thing is like, when you put those type of materialistic standards on a man, you're basically setting yourself up to live a certain type of life. And I get it. You think, oh, I need this type of money to live this lifestyle I want. And you'll hear it. You'll hear guys go out and they'll interview women, and they'll be like, how much money does a guy have to make? And they'll give you a number because they've thought about it. They know what they want. They know how much it is, right? And it's like every woman has a price. I watched a video the other day of a woman, and she's like, this guy's asking her this question is, how much money, she was a married woman with a child. She had her child with her, And the guy says, well, you obviously have a child, you're married. And she said, yes, he's the father of my child, and he said, and the guy asked her, he said, well, how much does he have to make a month in order, for you to be happy or whatever? And she's like, well, it's like he needs to make at least $1,000 a month in order to have food on the table and survive, right? And it's like, that's a good answer. And he's like, well, how much a year? And she's like, well, to survive, excuse me. She's like, well, to survive, you need at least $30,000 a year to pay the rent and make ends meet. And that's a very practical, pragmatic answer, and it's a good answer, right? And it's a better answer that you're going to get from a lot of these women, right? But she's thinking pragmatically. She's thinking practically, like, how is this going to work? How are you going to pay the bills? How are you going to put food on the table every day? Just in a practical way, right? And that's probably one of the better answers that you're ever going to get, because it's just straight up. It's cut and dry. It's like, this is what you need to make to live, right? But a lot of women will be like, oh, no, he needs to make 75 or 125, or he needs to make 300,000, because they're thinking this is the type of lifestyle that I want to live. That's how they're thinking. Women think this way. They think pragmatically. It's not about like, oh, I just love this guy, or romance, and then sometimes they'll do that. And they won't care about the money, and they'll just look at the guy, and a lot of times they'll make crappy decisions on that, right? So it's kind of a catch-22. It's like, they might make crappy decisions and date a guy who's like broke or whatever, he's a bum. But here's the thing, like, a lot of times they'll get upset that he didn't improve. They'll get upset that he didn't go out and work, so work for her and make more money, right? So she puts this monetary parameter and standard over the relationship either way, and then I've talked to so many women who will be like, oh, well, I dated a broke guy, and just to like try to prove me wrong. And then I'll keep talking to him, and I'm like, well, what ended up happening? And then they'll be like, well, he didn't want to change. He didn't want to make any more money or grow. And I'm like, okay, so you're trying to tell me that I'm wrong, that women want money from men because you dated a guy with money, but then you got mad that he didn't change and make more money. So it's true. You're actually proving my point. And I've talked to so many women that's the story. That was their story, and kind of what happened in the conversation was eventually they called him a bum, and he didn't want to grow and make more money. So it's all about money. So even though that woman who said $30,000 a month, that's a good answer as far as like, she's not a gold digger, she's just being practical. She still has a monetary number that she's putting on the relationship, and it's the most basic. It's just survival. It's like, okay, we need food on the table, and it's like, and that's the best case scenario, because she probably just wants love. She wants the basics, and she wants love, and she wants to take care of her kid. She doesn't need what she's saying, and what she said, even I think she even said this, was that I don't need a lavish lifestyle to be alive. I don't need a lavish lifestyle to survive and to have my relationship. That's a best case scenario, because most women are going to be like, no, I need something a little extra. We can't just be getting by. We can't just be living this basic life, right? No, I need 100K a year because I want to go on vacations and I want to go out to dinner once a week. And they think this way. It's all wrapped up in what they view a good relationship as. They want to be wined and dined once a week. They want to go on vacation twice a year at least, maybe 3-4 times a year ideally, right? And they might think that's, these women who have that extra might think it's basic. There's women who are like, I don't want to work at all. I want a rich guy. I want maids, okay? I want to go on vacation once a week or once a month, to Italy, France. I need a rich guy, and they think they can get it, and they think that that's love. They think that, like, oh yeah, I'm going to go out here and marry this rich guy, and then it's love. Like, it's like, okay, but you got to understand that if you're choosing, first of all, that's not going to happen, right? A rich guy's probably not going to settle for you. And there are women out there who do beg a rich guy, and they're like, you see their pictures, and they have this great shit-eating grin on their face, and like this wicked smile, like, I got mine. Well, did you really, though? Because you don't love the guy. He probably doesn't love you. You're just arm candy. You use sex to get him, right? it's like the whole point that I'm making here is that they're not putting love as the foundation. They're not putting relationships as the foundation. I'm in traffic here, and I don't know what's going on. I'm in traffic, but anyway, they're not putting love and relationships as the foundation, and what ends up happening is they're unhappy and unfulfilled in their relationships. Because, and I've said this a million times, but my point is that a relationship is not based on lifestyle. It's not based on money. Do these things matter? I think it comes into play, but the difference here is that, you know, when you view a man's worth and his value on materialistic things, what he can provide for you, right? What are you actually doing? You're boiling down the man's worth to materialism. You're boiling down the man's worth to you're turning him into a product. You're turning what he does for you and can do for you into a product. Okay? You're commoditizing relationships, right? You're making it into something that's like for sale. Like you know, the value of it to you is based on materialism, okay? So of course you're unhappy, because if you're not putting love in the, you know, it's love, relationships, who that person is, finding your soulmate, all those things go out the window when it comes to money for women, right? Those are the most important things in a family and a relationship aspect. Love, finding your soulmate, okay, romance, being with that person in a love and romantic way, okay? Those are the most important things. But if you're putting materialism and love and a monetary number, even that girl who said, oh, $30,000 a year, that's still a number. Even though she's probably the best of the best, you know, it's still a number. She still has a number, right? Real love is there is no number. Real love is I don't need anything. We could be homeless and I'll still be with you. I don't care, because I love you, and whatever happens, we're going to survive and we're going to get through this because I'm with you, not your potential, okay? Not what you can do for me, not the lifestyle that you can provide or all these materialistic things that you can give me, okay? That's not love. And it's like, what I'm wondering is like, how do we get here in the first place? Like, how do we get to, like, why are women like this? You know, is what I'm trying to figure out. Why are women like this in the first place, right? And I guess the best I've ever come up with in my life and my red pill journey and trying to figure it all out is that it is based on pragmatism. It is based on, well, I'm going to have a kid with you. We got to put food on the table kind of thing. And that, you know, it makes sense. It's like, okay, yeah, if we're going to have a kid, you want to have a kid, or if we're going to be, you know, parents and have a real family, there's got to be money. We got to talk about it. And life in general, there's got to be money, right? But what I see so often is that what happened to, like, you know what? I love you. Yeah, there's got to be money, but even if there's not, I still love you and I'm still going to be with you. What happened to that? Was that ever a thing? I just kind of remember, like, growing up, you know, I'd always, like, see these, like, oh, these people live to be 90, you know, and married for 60 years, 70 years. They got married when they were 20 and now they're 90. And it's like, you know, they went through some hard things. You know, they went through some struggles. You know that there was times when they were broke, right? So how are you going to say, oh, this is my other half, this is the guy that I love and he's my other half, when you would leave him on a if he lost his job. You would leave him if he had a poor day or if he had a poor year or something, you know? What's that movie? It's called Catch Me If You Can, with Leonardo DiCaprio and Tom Hanks, and Christopher Walken's in it. Christopher Walken plays his dad, plays Leonardo DiCaprio's dad, and it kind of like, I forget the guy's name, but he's like the most famous con artist of all time. And in the storyline, his parents have a breakup because his dad can't afford to like give her the lifestyle she wants. Okay, there's a lot of movies like that. There's a movie, The Accountant, right, with Ben Affleck. I think it's called The Accountant, and he's like, he loses his job or whatever, and he's looking for another job, and he can't find another job, and his wife's like, you better get your stuff together because I might take the kids and go live with my mom or something like that. I forget. And I'm just like, damn, man, that's female nature, right? That's what love is. That's what a relationship is, you know? And it's like, wow, you know, where's the loyalty? Where's the loyalty is what I wonder, you know? Dude, you're a dancing monkey if your whole thing is just to provide. Oh, I just got to provide for her. That's what I do. That's my duty as a man, is provide and protect. And if I don't provide and protect, then I'm no longer a real man. It's like, really? So your whole worth as a human being is based on utility? Your whole worth as a human being is based on what you can provide materialistically for a woman who would leave you if you didn't have money? Think about that for a minute, man. Seriously, think about that. That to me is the biggest reason why I've never, pushed so hard for a relationship, or I've never, pushed so hard to get a woman, because I'm not going to go out here in this bullshit rat race, this bullshit matrix that some small group of elite people who live in Switzerland or whatever, these Illuminati fuckers who are so evil, and they laid out how the world works, and they tell me how much I can make and how many hours I have to work. Bullshit. And people call that freedom. Oh, in America, we're free. We got freedom. You have certain rights, okay, based on the Constitution, that are more free than other countries, that are a whole lot less fucked up than other countries, let's put it that way. But you don't really have freedom, because you can't just go out and go hunting and build your own log cabin and make a sustainable life for yourself off of your own hard work. That's not what you can do in America. So that's real freedom. Real freedom is like, hey, I can just go out and I can build a damn log cabin. Why? Because I'm a human being, and God gave me the earth, and God told me to subdue it. Meaning I could go hunt and fish and build a log cabin because God told me I can. Because this is my earth. God gave me dominion according to the Bible. But now you're telling me that I can't hunt and fish without a license? You're telling me I can't build a log cabin on a hill somewhere overlooking a lake out in the wilderness because the federal government owns it? Hello? That's not freedom, right? You're going against God's ordinance and God's word. I didn't see anywhere in the Bible where it says anything about you need a deed or to own the land before you can build a house on it. Never once did I ever see that. The patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, right? They all lived in tents. They were sheep herders and goat herders. That's what they did. That was their profession. God took care of them through that means of sustenance. Where in the Bible does it say that we got to go do a 401k? Where does it say we got to sign a lease? Where does it say that we got to pay a mortgage and pay the rent for the land lot and all this bullshit? It's like those are amenities, like those are conveniences that maybe in a modern world help us in certain ways, that maybe they make it easier than building a log cabin. Sure, yeah, there's a lot of crazy crap that could happen if you build a log cabin. Like you could get mold, which is crazy. You could get sick because of bacteria. It's not sanitary. Okay. You know, you get attacked by a wild animal. Okay. You could die from hypothermia. Okay. But you're fucking free. You're not in debt and enslaved to the state. You're not in debt and enslaved to some rich elite motherfuckers who want you to be a 9-to-5 corporate slave while they live on yachts, okay, and drink pina coladas all day long and sleep with hookers all day long, okay, because they're the ones who are really running the world. I mean, it's just what it is. And your politicians are all bought and paid for and blackmailed and all this crap. So we're not free, all right? We're not free. My whole point in saying that is that, you know, life is hard. And it's harder when you got to pay for everything. God said in Genesis, he said, it's not good for man to be alone. I will make her a helpmeet. It's not good for man to be alone. Meaning he created us with the necessity for companionship, for love, for relationships, romance, family, marriage, love, sex within the confines of marriage is God ordained, biblical, righteous, pure, true, good. But what is all this crap going on today? You gotta pay me for dinner. You gotta take care of my kids from another guy. You gotta make a certain amount of money to even for me to even consider dating you. Not only that, you gotta look like a male model. What is this bullshit that we're dealing with here? That's not biblical. None of this is biblical. None of this is God ordained, right? That these little 4 out of 10s think that they deserve a 10 out of 10 male model who's rich and who's going to provide for them. And one of the first things a woman says when she starts talking to you is, how much money do you make? What kind of job do you do? What do you do for work? Like, what kind of bullshit is that? And they think it's justified because, the man's supposed to protect and provide, right? So it's justified to ask these vapid, materialistic questions, these gold-digging questions, right? It's justified because the man's supposed to provide, right? He's supposed to provide and protect. So what? So he's got to make a certain amount of money. So that's what matters. Not the romance, that's secondary. Not the love, that's secondary, right? Not that he's your soulmate, that's secondary. Everything else is secondary to how much money, how much materialism, what kind of lifestyle can you provide for me? Well, then we wonder why relationships don't work. Then we turn around and wonder why there's a loneliness epidemic. Why people aren't getting married anymore. Why aren't women having children anymore? Why are all these abortions, 600,000, 900,000 abortions per year, according to Planned Parenthood statistics? Okay, that's an epidemic. Women are killing more people, more children, and you could argue, it's a fetus and all this bullshit that I've heard a million times by these sickos who support abortion, right? It's murder. You're killing a human soul. The second it's an embryo or a fetus, it's got a soul. Sorry, God is against abortion. Google it. Google got questions, is God against abortion? God is not a supporter of abortion. In fact, he took out people who were sacrificing their children. He took them out. He was trying to genocide them, which is kind of crazy, and I struggle with that concept of God genociding and killing a group of people, but they were sacrificing their children because of their pagan religion. So God is not in favor of abortion. God loves all the children. He says in the Gospels, he says, anybody who harms a child, it would be better for a millstone to be put around their neck and thrown into the sea than what I'm going to do to you when I get my hands on you. Basically, people who harm children, oh boy, they're going to have a rude awakening when they see God, and that includes abortion. I don't care what anybody says. That shit is satanic and it's evil, right? So you got women out here who are killing more children than World wars, all world wars combined in history, more women are aborting more children, right? This is the result of feminism. This is the result of satanic feminism. This is the result of the sick world that we're living in. And people just act like it's normal, right? Oh yeah, go have an abortion. You don't want the kid, go have an abortion. But the guy's on the hook, right? Oh, if you decide to have the kid, which by the way, women have full autonomy over. They've got full choice of whether they're going to keep the child or not. The man has zero say, even though it's his child. So you could kill his child. And many men, I've seen it, videos, many men are broken down and hurt because of the girl that they got pregnant was going to kill their child, and they got no say over it because she just decides that she's going to kill it because she doesn't want it. Because I think it's like 80% or even higher than that. It might be 89% if you look on the Planned Parenthood statistics. It's like 80% of women who have an abortion, it's just because they're not ready. It's because they don't want it in their lifestyle. It's not because they got assaulted. It's not because of sickness or physical limitations or financial limitations per se. It's just because they don't want it. It's because they want to keep their lifestyle. They don't want a child, which is understandable in an objective way. Yeah, it sucks to have a kid if you don't want a kid, but it doesn't mean you kill it. It means you practice better sex, or you don't have sex outside of a relationship. You don't have sex outside of wedlock, because that's a lot of times what happens. You can be more careful, but this is why the Bible says don't fornicate. It's part of why the Bible says don't fornicate. It's immoral, messes up your character, okay? And I understand it. I understand it. It feels good. It's a sexy thing. It's amazing. Sex is supposed to be amazing. God made it that way. But it's supposed to be for marriage. And you can say, that's not fun. Oh, one person. Oh, gosh. What if they're not even that attractive? Like, I get it. I get all that. Because I've been through it. I get it. But that's the way God made it, man. And it's for our safety. I believe it. I believe it. Because I've experienced a lot. The Bible says you reap what you sow. You reap what you sow. You sow unto the flesh, and you will reap corruption. That's what the Bible says. Sow to the flesh, and you'll reap corruption of the flesh. And I've experienced it. I've sowed to my flesh, and I've experienced heartache. I've experienced soul ties that damaged me. I've experienced a woman who threatened to abort a baby who didn't even exist. She lied and said that I got her pregnant when I didn't. And then she said that she was going to abort it to make me hurt and feel bad. Okay? That happened to me in 2011 when I was dating a girl. Okay? And that was a result of my own immorality, because I dated a girl who had a worthless character, and she lied because she thought I was going to break up with her, and I was going to break up with her because she was a bit too crazy for me, and I was going to break up with her, and she proved that she was crazy, okay, because she lied and said that she got pregnant, and it wrecked me for about 2 years, until one of her best friends got a guilty conscience and messaged me and said, well, actually what happened is she ended up cheating. She got her best friend who was married, and she hooked up her best friend's married husband with a different one of her friends, and she got her best friend's husband to commit adultery. And so her best friend was just flabbergasted and broken because this happened. And so she messaged me, and she knew damn well the whole time, her best friend knew that she was lying about being pregnant. So she messaged me after that whole screwed up situation happened, after she got a divorce because of her. And she freaking messaged me and said the whole thing was a lie. She said she was never pregnant. She was never once pregnant. She did it to keep me in the relationship. And it worked, because I got all emotional. Because I was like, oh, she's pregnant. I got all emotional. And something within me a flip got switched and I got all emotional because I didn't even know that could happen as a man. I thought I had a little, she said it was a girl. I thought I had a little girl coming. And I was all twisted because I was like, you're going to kill my baby. And I didn't even know I could feel that way. And who was it? Kelsey Grammer. I don't know if you guys remember him from the show Frasier. Kelsey Grammer, a decent actor. He was in the X-Men movies. I think he played Beast in the X-Men movies. Kelsey Grammer said he had an abortion when he was younger, and he said he's never escaped the guilt from it. And this is a man. This is a man speaking. And there's many men out there. Who is it? Tech-N9ne, the rapper Tech-N9ne. He has a song called Real Killer, where he's talking about abortion. He's talking about the guilt that he felt from having an abortion. It's real, man. And this is the result. This is the result of feminism. This is, just go kill your baby, your body, your choice. It's satanic. It harms people's souls, okay? And you're killing a child. You're killing something that God approved, okay? Whatever. However you want to, you can cognitive dissonance, you can deny it, you can fight against it, whatever. But the reality is that humans are different. We're not animals. We're not just animalistic. We have a conscience. We've got a spirit. We've got a soul. We've got something that responds well to God, to being moral, to living a higher life. And there's all these entities and propaganda and ideologies that are really just based on taking away your morals, taking away your connection to God, taking away your genuine spirituality. I don't mean New Age spirituality. I mean spirituality in the sense that you're connected to God, who is the Spirit, okay? And you're connected to this. We're in this universe for a reason. We're not just here to be materialistic, because people are worshiping materialism. People are, in a prison of materialism, and in a prison to their bills, and in a prison to their car note and their mortgage and their lease and their car payments and their insurance and their, we're in a prison to this. Okay? What's the answer? You gotta free your mind. Bob Marley said it. Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. I can't remember that song. With the song title, but you can Google it. Bob Marley, great song. Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. Free yourself from the matrix. Everything is the matrix. Your bills, keeping up with the Joneses. You're more, again, I'm not saying don't pay bills. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is we put these things, what does Jesus say? He says, take my yoke upon you, for my burden is easy and my yoke is light. The world's yoke is heavy, right? You got to pay the bills. You got to do this. You need money. You need, improve, better clothes, better shoes, better car. You need a nicer house, or you don't get the woman, right? So women play a large part in this too. Stop propping yourself up as a product. Oh, you got to make this money to there's the newest car here at the new dealership. I got to get the new 2026 car. It's like, you need a car. Yes. Does it have to be the newest car? No, it needs to run well. Doesn't matter what it looks like. You need a car for transportation. There's a necessity there. What happens is people take the necessity and they turn it into an idol. Okay? Yes, you need a roof over your head, right? Yes. Do you need the nicest house, or can you sustain yourself in a modest house, right? oh, but the woman I want, she won't like me unless I'm rich, unless I have this nice house. Well, then maybe you want the wrong woman, right? And to the women out there, maybe you should stop putting this type of burden on men. Maybe you should stop selling yourself to the highest bidder, because that's pretty close to prostitution. In fact, I would venture to say that's prostitution. You're selling yourself. You're prostituting yourself, okay? For a rich man, for money. It needs to stop. Otherwise, what? You're going to keep getting in these relationships that go nowhere, that are really just about sex, where you're trying to leverage your sex to get the guy, and he's trying to leverage his money to get you into bed, and then you just have this prostitution, okay? And that's what we're seeing in society today, and people don't care. People are, because they don't want God. They don't want morals anymore, right? They don't want the traditional love, the traditional marriage. And at the end of the day, we can't take it with us, right? There's an old saying that says something like, we're just trying to, life is a race to see who has the most toys before we die, or something like that. I like going for walks. I go for walks. It's one of the things that I like to do. Just putting the club here on my car. It's one of the things that I like to do. I like to go for walks, and I like to look at nice houses. It's just something I've always liked to do. I just like to walk and check out trees and nice, cool neighborhoods. It calms me down. It's good exercise. I've done it for like 20 years. I've done it when I was a kid too. I love walking in the snow, particularly love walking in the snow at night. And I like to look at the Christmas lights and stuff. It's just, I love it. It's just this wonderful feeling. Anyway, when I do that, I'll see that there's certain houses and they got these huge campers. And I'm like, man, that camper must have cost an arm and a leg. That camper must have cost $75,000 or $100,000 for that camper, because it's these new age techie campers, and they're just so freaking nice. And it's like, you could live in that camper. That camper probably costs as much as a small home, right? And I think to myself, man, you worked so hard to get this camper, and it's probably cost about as much as a home, right? And you can't take it with you. It's just sitting there. How many times a year do you even use it? Once a year, once every other year, once every 5 years, and it's just this large expense, and you're just like, what is going on? What is really going on? And these people are basically, saving up their whole lives, working their whole lives to get something that just sits, to get this expensive product that just sits. And it's like, I think about it and I'm like, man, it's going into the pit. It's going into the pit. Everything's going into the pit, right? You can't take anything with you. You work so hard to get these things just to keep up with the Joneses, or just to get the woman, or just to keep your woman interested. What kind of life is that? That's what I want to know. I'm content with not working my fingers to the bone and living, and I'll just be poor. I'm okay with that, because it doesn't take much for me to be happy. Like I said, I just like to go for walks. It doesn't take a whole lot for me to be happy. I'll get a nice cologne or something that's like $25. It's a cheap cologne, but I'll just smell it and I'll just be like, I like this. It just smells nice. It makes me happy. I'll read a book. I'll read poetry. I'll watch a nice video of some guy feeding ducks, or some cat videos. I like cats, call me cliche, whatever. I think cats are so cute. I love cats. I don't know. I don't have a cat. I'm allergic to cats, tragically. I love cats though. I used to go for walks and pet cats when they would come up, and but I stopped doing that because I'm so allergic to them that it'll get on my clothes and I'll have to, I'll be sneezing for a week, which is sad. But my point is that it doesn't take much, man. It doesn't take much for me to be happy, and it's like, If I got, maybe being single is better. Maybe it's just better to stay single. If I got to work my butt off just to get some woman who would leave me if I didn't have the money, it's like, what's the point in that? I don't understand it. It never really made sense to me. Like, listen, I understand. Like, I like steak. I'd like to go out to a nice steak dinner, spend $400 or something on a steak dinner. Is it worth $400? No, but it's the ambience. It's the, you could buy a steak for a nice steak for $15 probably. And cook it at home, or if you go to a discount store, you could probably get one for $8, $9. It's like, I don't need all that, but it's like, I understand the concept of luxury. I'd like to buy a $300 cologne. I'd like a nicer car. I'd like a nice house on the beach. I'd like to go to Hawaii. Like, I get it. I'm not sitting here saying that, like, I don't understand the appeal of that. I get it. But ultimately, it's like, what do you really need? I can, for free on YouTube, I can go on a YouTube video that shows Hawaii. They've got YouTube videos that show Hawaii, and it's like, I don't need to spend $10,000, $5,000, however much thousand it costs to go on a trip to Hawaii. I can just turn on my YouTube and I'm there. God provides, you know what I mean? And so it's like, what I wonder is, like, why don't women feel that way too? Right? Where's the woman who feels like that? She's like, you know what? I don't need much. Yeah, let's go get some, we wouldn't even need wine. Let's go get some grape juice. Who cares? I don't need to be drunk. I don't need to be, wined and dined. Let's just make some popcorn. Cost $2 to get some popcorn. It's like, why aren't women like that? That's what boggles my mind. Why aren't women like that? And it's sad. It's sad because it's like, real love doesn't have a price tag, and it shouldn't have a price tag. These women who are like, oh yeah, wine and dine me, take me out to dinner. It's like, I don't want anything to do with that. I don't want anything to do with you. Right? I don't like, I like the truth. I like basic things. I like, real love. The best memories of my entire life were free. My parents piling us up into a car and going swimming in these small canals on a hot day. We lived in a farm city that was, it's just another world, man, when summertime in the farms, and a certain type of heat, certain type of ambience, right? I didn't need any of that crap as a kid. They had great lives in the 70s and the 80s, the 60s, 50s, and they didn't have money to have those great lives. What they had was, they had love. They had love, and they had a little bit of adventure spirit, and they had a little bit of comedy and humor and fun, and I had a good sister who was funny, and that's all it takes, man. That's all it takes. We didn't have money. It didn't cost any money to do that. We used to go, we were so poor, we went to Hostess, the cakes and the pies. We went to Hostess a couple times. We did this because they throw out like day-old stuff, a couple days old, and they just throw it all out. And we didn't care if it was a couple days old. Our family went as a family in our little station wagon, our crappy little station wagon, okay? And we went to Hostess, and we went and jumped in their dumpster and grabbed a bunch of pies, and we had like 20 pies and cakes and all this stuff. And it was one of the best days of my life. I was so happy as a kid. Is it healthy? No. Is it a fun activity to jump in a dumpster? Kinda, but is it sanitary? No, but it was fun, and it was one of the best days of my life. And we froze them, and I'll never forget it. We froze these blackberry pies, and they were frozen. These Hostess pies, and they were frozen, and they just tasted so good, and I was so happy. I was through the moon. I was a kid, we had board games. We played board games that we got from like a thrift store, Goodwill, like $2 or $1, and you buy a board game and it's like fun for the whole family. Seriously, we did stuff like that. We'd make popcorn in our little popcorn popper and we'd watch old movies and stuff. I mean, it didn't matter. You find stuff to do. You go outside, you play sports. Money didn't factor in. Now, when it started to factor in, and when I started to be unhappy because I was poor, was when I got older and I started comparing myself. And I started saying, oh, we're poor. That's when it started to become a problem. What was to say, comparison is the thief of joy? Well, that's what happened. I started comparing myself to other people. And I started realizing, well, I'm different. I'm poor. We're on welfare. We got food stamps. Da da da. And that's when I started to feel shame. And I started to feel like, oh, I'm different and things like that. But until then, we didn't really care that much. We were okay. It's like you don't care about money until you start to compare yourself. And you're like, oh, I want these nicer pairs of shoes, or oh, I want this nicer car or whatever. And it's like, again, I'm not dissing nice stuff. I'm not saying there's not a time and place to be ambitious or to want to improve your situation, things like that. I'm not saying that. Because I like to look nice. I like to dress well. I would like to have a nicer car, things like that. It's not the point though. The point is that what's necessary and what's just idolatry, what's going to waste your time. I can't tell you how many years when I was younger in unhappiness because I was poor, or unhappiness because I didn't have certain things that I wanted, or what's even worse is in ambition. Because when you're all in ambition, you're unhappy. You're not living for today. You're putting your happiness in something in the future, and you're planning for something that may never come, and things like that. It's a trap, man. It's a trap, and that's part of escaping the matrix. If you really want to escape the matrix, free your mind, emancipate your thinking, right? Get yourself out of that, I need more money, I need better things. It's like, okay, to some extent, maybe, right? But if it takes over and it becomes an idol in your life and you're wanting something that you can't have, and so therefore you're unhappy, it's like, that's a problem, man. That's a problem. But I would equate this into relationships, and I would use this example and analogy in relationships. It's like, well, God made a woman to help the man, right? Life is hard enough already. He didn't make the woman to be a product that the man buys. That's twisted. That's fallen. That's degenerate, selling yourself. And there's sex everywhere. Women are constantly putting themselves online, naked pictures and bikini pics. And here's my tits, aren't they great? Yeah, they're really nice. Now the whole world's seen them. When really only your husband is supposed to have seen them, right? You're not special. You're just a woman with a nice body. There's a million women out there who've got nice bodies. It's like, we don't remember your face. We might remember your tits, maybe, probably not. Nobody remembers. So it's just all porn. It's like, what's the point? Do you have love? Do you got a nice husband? Do you got a good relationship? Do you got nice kids? That's what's really going to fulfill people. The happiest I've ever been was when I was with my family, and we were enjoying something. And that's why the devil hates families. That's why feminism is anti-family, because it's satanic. The devil doesn't want us to be happy. He doesn't like that we're made in the image of God and he's not. Okay? He's just an angel. We're made in the image of God. He was not. The angels are not made in the image of God. They're simply just spiritual entities. That's all. But mankind, men and women, not animals, not trees. Don't get into pantheism and all this crap that God is in the trees. No, that's the creation. The Bible says that some people worship the creation as opposed to the creator. No, we only worship the creator. We don't worship the creation. The creation, we see the goodness of our creator through the creation. Okay? That's all. It's not rocket science. He made everything, but he made man in our image. And this is why pictures are beautiful. This is why mountains are beautiful, and rivers and things like that calm us, and we can stare at them for hours, and oh, we love rivers and mountains and waters. The ocean's so beautiful because it's from our Creator. God made that stuff because he's a wonderful God. And he made the earth beautiful for us to look at. And people don't give him his credit. They don't worship him as a creator. And Satan doesn't want that. He doesn't want people loving God and giving thanks to God and having nice families and enjoying love and things like that, because that's what God made. God instituted marriage. So what's he wants to do? He wants to attack. He hates God, so and he hates mankind. So he wants to attack everything good. He doesn't want us happy. He doesn't want us in love. He doesn't want us in good romantic relationships. He doesn't want us, putting God first and not having all these idols and not being all worried about money and things like that. No. He wants us stuck in the matrix. Right? People who are so obsessed with money and all that, even if they're successful, whatever, they're still stuck in the matrix. You look at these celebrities. Oh, this guy's so famous and rich. He's got so much money. Look at all his houses. And it's like, first of all, they're probably unhappy. But even if they're happy, okay, it doesn't matter. They're stuck in the matrix. They're stuck in the grind, right? They're in the belly of the beast, right? And probably more so than poor people. Because it's like when you're poor, like at least you can, turn to God and say, God, I'm poor, It's like, I'd rather be poor and have God than be a gazillionaire and not have God. Because who do you have if you don't have God? You've only got yourself, and you've got the world, which is fallen and satanic, and you've got Satan. That's it. It's like if you don't have God, you lose everything without God. So, yeah, man, I wish women were loyal. I wish it wasn't about money. I wish it were different. It is what it is. Paul knew what it was in Corinthians. He said a man who wants a woman is going to, try to please her, and he's going to be very distracted from following the Lord. Go read Corinthians. I can't remember what chapter, but that's what he says. And it's true, I think. But at the same time, Genesis, God always supersedes everything, so God is higher than Paul. Even though Paul was a chosen vessel from God, God ultimately has the final say, and God said ultimately in Genesis, he said it's not good for man to be alone. So I believe that. I believe it's not good for man to be alone. But if all we got out here is just these vapid, materialistic, unloyal prostitutes, because they're prostituting themselves for money, right? then maybe it's better to be alone, or maybe it's just shitty both ways. Sorry to say. Well, I wish it was better, but it's not. But anyway, just wanted to talk about it. It's been Jay Lee with Northwest Podcast. Take care.